Hey there, folks. First, how am I looking? I'm trying to make myself look less unhoused, and I think it's working, but I'm new at this, so feel free to leave me feedback in the comments. Another YouTuber who I follow, because he's an excellent therapist and he has really good content, honestly. His name is Patrick Teahan, Teahan, I think. There might be a G in there somewhere, I don't know. He was talking about why kids, adult children sever contact with their parents. So the real answer, this is true for all cases, and it's very simple. The real answer, adult children sever ties with their parents and go no contact, is because contact hurts. They get yelled at by their family, they get berated by their family, they get belittled by their family. The family makes them feel bad somehow. It seems to be a universal constant amongst terrible parents that they think that shouldn't matter. That you are somehow obligated to come within range of their abuse on a regular basis. But if you're an adult, that means you are completely free to choose with whom you associate or refuse to associate. These terrible parents lose their kids. They end up being the parent who all their children refuse to talk to them or have anything to do with them. But somehow they're the victim. Ungrateful children that are somehow defective. My father, for example, was so dependent on verbally abusing people that not only did he end up divorced from my mother, because as it turns out, when there was no kids in the house, he just turned it all on her. And she couldn't put up with that. Apparently he was fine when it was us, but when he started picking on her, that was where she drew the line. So he made good on a threat that he'd made throughout my whole childhood. He buggered off to Ontario, which is, as close to being where he's from as any part of Canada, frankly. They moved around a lot. In Ontario, he got himself a new wife. Somewhat amazingly. But not really, because the thing is, he's extremely charming when he's with others. He saved his real abusive personality for his family. He got himself a new wife. And it didn't last a year before this poor woman was calling my mother saying, "How do I keep him happy? Nothing seems to make him happy." And my mother, being more diplomatic than I, sort of said what I would say, but in a much more circuitous way, which is, you can't make him happy. You want to know what makes him happy? Verbally abusing you. That's what makes him happy. He will find an excuse because he has to do it. He is compelled to verbally abuse people. That is, he is an abuser, and all abusers use their abuse as a form of emotional regulation, as a way of dealing with the frustrations of life by taking them out on their loved ones. They seem to think that if their loved ones love them, they just take it. It's either that or, learn self-control. So my dad gets a new wife, abuses her. Marriage lasts about 3 years, and then she's done with his shit, and she takes off. So now he's in Ontario, and he's got nobody. The only person that from our family that came to visit him was my sister Catherine. Because my sister Catherine is A, both very dutiful, I guess you could say, and B, she was the only one who lived close enough to him. I mean, it wasn't all that close, but she could get there in like 3 hours. So she'd go to see him and see how he was. But here's the thing. He needs to verbally abuse people, and yet he was all alone. So when she would show up, he'd start yelling at her before she even got out of the car. He had to do it. This was a compulsion. I mean, I'd like to think that on some level he knew that this was probably bad. You know, kind of punishing her for showing up. But he couldn't stop himself. And so she stopped showing up too. And so there he was all alone. No one to put up with him. Gee, I wonder why. So he died completely alone in some obscure little hospital in central Ontario. I have to say I do miss him. Wasn't like all abusive parents. He wasn't terrible all the time. Sometimes he was actually very, very pleasant to be around. Screaming abuse at people and playing the victim at the same time. You know, it doesn't take a lot of those incidents to qualify you as abusive. So I guess you could say we went no contact with him. We stopped contacting him. But yeah, that's my own story of an abusive parent that could never understand why their children didn't love them and just refused to connect his behavior with our attitudes. And so he lost his family entirely. He had absolutely nobody, not even his relatives in Ontario would put up with him. He had a whole nest of relatives in and around Barrie, Ontario, Barie. They wouldn't put up with him either. And yet, I bet on his dying fucking day, he still felt like he was the victim in all this. Because, of course, if you're addicted to abusing people, then you can't ever face the fact that you're abusive, because that would make you stop doing it. And you're incredibly addicted to doing it. So you have to imagine that you're the victim in all of this so that you can keep abusing people. And this goes for all forms of abuse, from softly spoken sarcasm to downright, physical torture. It's always the same. It's a person who uses abusing others as an outlet for their frustrations and rage and things like that. And odds are, they can't stop. Certainly you can't ever make them happy, because if they're happy, then they wouldn't be able to get mad at you. And they need to get mad at you. So yeah. In conclusion, to return to my opening, why do adult children go no contact with their parents? Because their parents made contact hurt. And when you're an adult, you are free to just not do that shit. I guess that's all from me for today, folks. I will talk to you nice people again tomorrow. Bye-bye.